All right, y'all. I'm sitting here under the weather, and I happen to come across this tweet from NBA Central. Not Central, but Central. In regards to DeMar DeRozan, and it states, an anonymous NBA executive says DeMar DeRozan's game doesn't translate well to winning. Quote, DeRozan is a highly skilled player who is great to have in the locker room and a guy you want to give the ball to at the end of the game, but his play hasn't driven winning, and it's something that unfortunately has been the case throughout his career, and it's part of the reason why he's changed teams a bunch. I like DeMar DeRozan. I like his game. He's one of the very few players in the league today that still has a mid-range game, because the mid-range game is obsolete nowadays. So it's hard for me to read this and agree with it, but there might be a little bit of merit there. I'm yours truly, Crisco Fontaine, aka Coach Crisco. Please bear with me today because I'm a little bit under the weather, but I just wanted to make a quick video on this because I thought it was interesting. Let's deep dive a little bit. All right, so let's just do a little deep dive in DeMar's stats for his career. Now, Basketball Reference I know isn't law. I don't take it as law, but it's a good place to start, right? So, DeMar, when he first came into the league, he was more so known as an athlete. He was a high flyer. He was a dunker. That's what his game was. Then he started to develop a complete game. Now, if you look at somebody that is a number one option, somebody that you're going to build a team around, is DeMar DeRozan that type of a player? Now, I mean, he had the keys to Toronto. And let me just scroll down because I can't remember. Did he play with Bosch? I can't remember if he played with Bosch or not. So just checking his rookie season. Yeah, so he did play with Chris Bosch. This was 09-10. So then 10-11, Bosch left. So he only played with Chris Bosch 1 year, if my calculation. So the next year, let me see. Yeah, Bosch wasn't there. So he only played with Chris Bosch 1 year. So DeMar, as a rookie, came in. Chris Bosch was there. And then the next season, he went from 8 points a game his rookie season to 17 points a game. He started 65 games out of the 77 that he played as his rookie season. So he came in as a rookie starting. He came in off the rip and was starting, but I mean it was lackluster. 8 points a game, 21 minutes per game. He went right into the man the second season because Chris Bosh wasn't there anymore. This could be a completely different conversation that we're having about DeMar DeRozan if Chris Bosh remains in Toronto, if he doesn't go to Miami, if Chris Bosh and DeMar DeRozan are together for an extended period of time. We've seen what Bosh was able to do as the man, but I don't know if Chris Bosh as the man for an extended period of time would have won a championship eventually. Bosh is kind of like Kevin Love, those type of guys. If he would have remained in Toronto and didn't go to Miami, I mean, he might not have achieved the success that he achieved because we don't know what he would have been able to do as a number one option. I think eventually DeMar would have become the number one option even with Bosh. And if you have somebody as good as Bosh as your number two option, then we may have a whole nother conversation when we're talking about DeMar DeRozan. Now, DeMar, if you just let it pan on out and you have somebody next to him like a Chris Bosh, who's to say that they're not able to compete for a championship, win the championship together? I mean, this the way that he played the game or plays the game still. I mean, DeMar, if you look at his numbers, I mean, they increased from each year. You know, he was 17, it dropped down a little bit here, and it's 18 points, 22, drops a little bit there. 23, 27, 23. He's been pretty consistent his entire career. You know, he's all-star here, all-star there, all-star there. So he made the all-star team 6 times. He even had MVP votes. But his entire time in Toronto, like, who's his second best player? Once Bosh leaves, he was only with him for 1 year. Once Bosh leaves, his second best player is who? Kyle Lowry? Van Vliet? Like, who is? I mean, I don't even know if he was there when Van Vliet got there, because once he got there, I think they might have shipped him off, and that's when Kawhi came in. So the entire time he's there, his second best player is another good role player, not a great player, but a good role player. So I mean, if you put the right pieces around him in the right system, I don't see how he's not a winning player. I mean, I'm not here to compare DeMar DeRozan to other shooting guards, small forwards. I'm not putting him on the same pedestal as Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. But those two guys had a mid-range game. They played both sides of the ball. I think that's the one shortcoming that DeMar has. He's not your typical. You don't look at DeMar DeRozan and say, "Oh, he's a lockdown defender." No, nobody is going to confuse him as being a tremendous defender. But you can learn to play defense. I think if you put DeMar DeRozan in the triangle offense with adequate pieces around him, I definitely think that he would flourish in that system. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that tweet. And I mean, you just look at his totals. I mean, for his career, he's 16 years in. It's a long career. The man has accumulated almost 24,000 points. Once you get to that point, you can't deny this man may eventually find himself in the Hall of Fame. I don't know too many NBA players that have accumulated more than 20,000 points that is not in the Hall of Fame. There's only a handful. Most of the NBA players that have accumulated more than 20,000 points are in the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that tweet. I do think that in his prime, if you put him in the proper system, if he's not in Toronto, he's somewhere else. At this time, let's just say, if he was in Chicago during this time frame with a Derrick Rose next to him, they're winning a championship. I think that they're winning the championship. His Achilles heel the entire time in Toronto was LeBron James, and I honestly believe it was because his second best player was Kyle Lowry, and that's no shot to Kyle Lowry. It's just that you need a little bit more if you're going to actually compete for a chip. So, I do think that a player like DeMar DeRozan, you can win with him with that prototype. You just have to have the proper pieces around him, and he has to be in the proper system in order for that to actually work. And I think that the majority of his career, Toronto just wasn't the proper place for him. Maybe in a better situation around better talent. We're talking about DeMar DeRozan as at least an NBA champion. Maybe not a multi-time champion, but at least an NBA champion, Finals MVP. I definitely think he had. I don't know now at year 17, but he has 16. I don't know now, but he's definitely had the talent to do so. Just not the talent around him to achieve that. But I don't know. Let me know what you think about that tweet in the comments below. If you don't mind, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And I do apologize. I know I sound nasally, but I feel like crap. So I'm going to lay down. But before you go, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button on your way out, por favor. See you on the next one.